Salam, Namaste, Sat Shri Akal, Adab. What a day today. He's a brother. He is the kindest hospitality man that I know. He's an entrepreneur. I love the energy. He just needs to walk into the room and it shines bright by itself. Absolutely immense pleasure and joy to introduce my brother, Vinay Gupta.
Thank you. Thank you. You are so fine with your words and kind with your words.
And I genuinely mean it, Vinay.
And
I only reflect the halo effect of yours.
that not having a hair helps.
True.
No, but honestly, I've had a blessed career and blessed life, surrounded by friends, surrounded by people who had so much to give me. I think it's rubbed somewhere along the way.
No, but seriously, I usually mention this towards maybe somewhere in the mid time of the episode or towards the end. But the kind of goodwill that you have amongst your peers in the industry, I think it just reflects on the kind of work you have done over the last 30 years within the industry. People just adore you. They love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right? I read that one LinkedIn post and Ashish Jhakanwala had kind of commented proactively. It says a lot. He mentioned, of course, your time with SAMHI at that point in time. But, taking time off and to talk about one of the most important team members at that point in time, who moved out to become an entrepreneur and all those things. And just saying that, hey, what a beautiful time I had with you. I think says so much about you, Vinay. Really.
No. Look, this journey would be incomplete without all these people contributing. Whatever I know, I know it because of these people surrounded me. And, all my formative career, I started, at a ground zero.
Yeah.
But
I need to go back to your place of birth, what really happened, your timing in school. I need to start from there and let's track that journey after that.
Sure, why not?
So tell me.
Look, I had a humble beginning and very blessed childhood. Grew up in a middle-class family. Dad was into industrial catering, but part of IHM at very early stage, looking after the catering and had a very interesting. So he is the one who introduced hospitality to our family.
Oh.
My grandpa was like an MBA in those days and a stock market back in 1940s.
And are you from Delhi?
Yeah, Faridabad, Ballabgarh.
Okay.
And but then Dad, difficult times came and Dad went into catering. Was at Pusa, and at that time, IHM Pusa used to be under Ministry of Agriculture.
Yeah.
And Mr. Sims was the principal, a Britisher, still running the institute.
I'm just amazed. Why would it be under the Ministry of Agriculture?
Yeah, you see, and then that's what the
logic would have prevailed at that time.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah. And so Ministry of Tourism was not even created.
Yeah. So nahi hai.
एग्रीकल्चर हाँ मतलब जो वीट ग्रेन उगा है उसकी रोटी सब्जी बन के आगे जाएगी and probably that was the philosophy. And so then my uncle got into industry and I grew up with Kendriya Vidyalaya, so we were moving around and KV was blissful and playful, so I lived in few places, but we anchored down in Faridabad back in
50s?
Early 80s. When my schooling was. Till then, Dad was moving around before. And post-schooling, I didn't get into engineering for the first. I was trying IIT, and then I realized ain't happening for me. In 91.
And predominantly around the north of India at that point in time, the culture was for engineering or IAS, right?
Yes.
See, I've been saying this. Back in Bombay, because we were exposed to, there was a Bollywood on one side, but financial markets on the other side. So commerce and sciences,
Yes.
of course there was engineering.
Yes.
Medicine was there, right? But IAS and army, these professions were devoid, at least growing up in Bombay.
Correct.
At least in where I was staying.
Correct.
So I did not know anyone who even appeared for a UPSC. I did not know anyone.
Wow.
I didn't know anyone who even joined the army at that point in time.
Yes.
But
so no, funnily you mentioned defense. I wanted to be a fighter pilot in my heart, but couldn't crack NDA either. And the subsequent year, I got into engineering and IHM Pusa. And so I asked family, and they said, you got the best institute in...
And because they were from the hospitality background,
and
right?
they sensed it. They said, you got a best institute in hospitality, and you've got a regional engineering. You might as well take it. And I thought to myself, it's 3-year program versus 4-year program.
Okay.
So I said, I've already lost one. Got to go into this. And that was my introduction to IHM Pusa and introduction to hospitality. So that was my early career. And then I was fortunate. I started working and got opportunity to go to England to do my bachelor's degree and a master's degree there. I studied at Lancaster University doing BA honors. So again, one of my uncles supported me, funded me with one-way ticket and 1-year tuition. And I landed in England. And that was pretty much the first time I had flown. And I had barely enough to pay rent for 6 months. And I realized, my dad was, still in a job and middle class, so no way they could have funded. And no way my pride would have allowed me to ask more money from my uncle. He had already done enough. So on the second day of being in the country, I found a job. Worked a week. I felt very happy and that, I got money now. I can support myself. And they asked me and I was in a Blackpool of all places, attending college at Lancaster University. They asked me before the payment processing, what is your NHS number? And I said, what's that? I said, I've worked. And they said, we can't process your salary because you don't have it. And it was totally Caucasian, white town. I was the only colored guy walking around. I said, but 2-3 months, I lived on a Snickers bar because that was the only meal that I could afford. I still remember 28 pence a Snicker bar. So my love with peanut chocolates started from that time. And, but I was resilient. I got the permission and there was no looking back. And I worked with this hotel company throughout my academics. They paid me enough to pay for my second year, third year tuition, and then sponsored my master's while working with them.
So you started off with an IHM Pusa. Did you finish it in IHM Pusa?
Yes.
Then you went for your master's.
Correct.
To Lancaster.
Correct.
Okay.
So bachelor's and master's.
And was master's in hospitality hotel or was it?
Yes, it was MBA. It was general MBA with special focus on hospitality.
So you knew very early on at that point in time that hospitality and hotels, I'm assuming at that point in time, was your call.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Wow.
And so,
And back home, because you had a hospitality background, this was a natural progression.
Yeah.
Right?
It was very accepted and my uncle had done well. He went to Mumbai. He was director with
Because even at that point in time in the 90s, hospitality was very typecasted, right?
Correct.
people had a very different perception.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. And we were blessed. My dad was very supportive.
So nice.
I said, go and do this and do something different and enjoy. And so did we, and so did I. So
okay. So what happens? So now you've done your masters, you come back?
Yeah. So in 2000, I completed but I worked throughout. So from 94 onwards, I just worked. I started with Hydrogency after Pusa as a waiter on staff and that was the only entry point in Hydrogency, but it was the best hotel at the time in Delhi, and I still had most fond memories working in La Piazza and a piano bar and opening the grand ballroom. At that time, it was getting renovated, and T.K.'s. But then I went overseas. My first rub was this running a family hotel in England where I worked for 4 years, who sponsored my education. It was called Hotel Sheraton, wasn't part of the Starwood group, but they were allowed to keep name Sheraton because they called it before Starwood ever entered the country. So I worked with that family. And then 2000, I came to Middle East, Dubai. And there again, I stumbled on an Australian hotel company called Ridges. And this was their first hotel outside of Australia. And I started working there in F&B, met lots of Australians, and I was working very closely with Austrade and Australian consulate. And they said, why don't you go and live in Australia? I said, why not? If you guys let me apply immigration to Australia. And before I know, I had a immigration to Australia, and I moved to Australia in 2002. Spent.
And you were single at this time?
I was single, but wanting to become double.
Got it.
And I came to India and had I couldn't find a girl who would stick with me for long. Like the countries I was moving around. So I found
somebody who took pity on you and got married.
Who took pity on me and made my life more beautiful than it was ever.
Love it.
And she was at the time younger sister of our family doctor.
Okay.
And he had taken care of my parents. And I was looking for a girl, and there she appeared from Agartala. We met, and I said, yeah, absolutely.
So she came with medical insurance.
Yeah. Hoteliers always need that. We damage our liver quite badly, So, yeah, she did. And the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
So nice.
And we quickly moved to Australia. I became general manager, and then when she came, I started growing in life, fortunately. Became general manager at the age of 32, running a beautiful hotel called Siebel in Maroochydore. Amazing place. And then ran, which is now called Pullman Sea Temple in Palm Cove. Then,
and after that?
Then, calling came, we got to go home. 2 kids were born in Australia. And every time I had a child, we moved cities in Australia. And between 2 of us, we had 2 young kids, 2.5 and 1 year old.
True.
And mom, dad were alone in India, and they were getting aged. So we were a little torn for all these years I've been away. And then came Accor's opportunity to open Makkyo in Bangalore with Brigade. And I came and opened that hotel and then rebranded it to Grand Makkyo.
So you held on to the Indian passport at that point in time, or did you have an Australian?
All of us carry Australian passport, but we all are overseas citizens of India.
Got it.
So we had the privilege to live, work in either of the country. One where we naturalized, and one is the birth and home country, and I'm proud to be Indian. So, yeah, and then career kept moving along between, I was in Bangalore, Dad didn't find Bangalore too conducive for his asthma, then came to Delhi with Hilton. and then met Ashish. Ashish I knew from
This is what,
Accor.
2013, 14? I'm assuming?
2012.
2012.
Yeah. So then the SAMHI journey. What an amazing journey.
Yeah. But tell me something. If you have to do a comparable, right, of how hotel hospitality, let's say, right from your time in Pusa, because you would have done some kind of a work attachment at that point in time. Then you go to England, you work in Blackpool, right? You continue to work there, you come to Middle East, then you go to Australia. All this in a span of, I would say, 10 to 12 years, right? But different continents.
Yeah.
Give a sense of hospitality now from Asia to Europe to Australasia to the Middle East. How was that? How was hospitality?
Look, there are two parts of it. It is the most transferable skill and it's the most global industry. You like good food, so does rest of the world. Everybody enjoys being polite and treated well. So that's a beautiful part of our industry. It is so fungible, so global in nature. The distinctive part that India brings is the human resource element. On a positive side and a negative side, sometimes we misused it or too overused it. But what differentiation we create with the human element of and the ingrained hospitality in Indians.
See, I was aviation throughout when you were globetrotting, right? I had the exposure of being that customer in global hotels.
Yeah.
Where perhaps you were general managers, you were operating, right? And this is my sense, just from a consumer, when I look at Indian hospitality and let's say I compare it with all other hospitality. Incidentally, at that point in time, I did visit Australia. Incidentally, at that point in time, I had visited London a couple of times, right? So largely these places, Dubai for sure, right? In India, I believe even today, hospitality is not transactional on your check.
100%.
It's not your check amount that decides the level of service.
Yeah.
It's the human, it's the heart.
Yes.
Right? Everything else kind of follows.
Yeah.
You can take that in a Rameshwaram cafe in Bangalore.
Yes.
Or Blue Nile in Pune.
Yeah.
Or La Piazza at Hyatt.
Yeah.
Or any other hotel come, retail come. But at that point in time, incidentally in the 90s, at least the hotels that I stayed. So I may not have stayed at the Four Seasons, but at least the hotels that I was very transactional.
Yes.
It was transactional on the check value.
Yes.
So right? Similarly, I found little better than European hospitality was
Asian
or Asian, largely Australian hospitality was a little better.
Yeah.
Little better. But it was still transactional.
Correct.
Right? Did you find that as well? Because you were now on the other side, actually operating hotels as general manager.
Absolutely. You know, internationally, hospitality is very seldom a career. The kind of people you work with in most hotels who are in transition, so either they're funding their education, most people work in those hotels for hours a day and not for a long-term employment. The people you engage with in those ecosystems, they are backpackers either holidaying and want to make the ends meet and want to create a little bit of income. They would come and do service in the breakfast. So of course, they are not emotionally connected either to you or a job or a business in most cases.
Because they themselves are transient in nature.
Yeah, transient in nature. There are good and a bad on both sides of the equation. The good is there everybody was treated equally. So I had a beautiful experience, and I went, and I was telling you, I went to England, and pretty much in the first week I got this job, and the owner's brother was looking after this bar in this hotel, and he was the owner's sister was the housekeeper. It was a Hotel Sheraton 110 rooms hotel in Blackpool Promenade. That one evening we all decided we're going to go out for a beer. He went to the counter, bought his beer. I went to the counter, bought my beer. He sat with me and said, cheers. I was a waiter in that hotel, and he was the owner's brother in that hotel.
The hierarchy wasn't there.
And we played pool, dart, drinking beer, cheers. And he never thought once to sponsor my beer or treat me any different
than what he would have treated his own peers.
Imagine that in 90s, any of the Hyatt, Sheratons or owners of those mingling with their wait-on staff. So that distinction was very stark to me, and it was enlightening to me. All of a sudden, respect for profession. On the flip side, because it's transactional, individuals also treated this job as a transactional.
True.
When you come to India, the whole genesis of us treating people at our home, there is no monetary. Even if you have 2 potatoes, you'll make the best possible vegetable for your guest. Before you even think twice about your own hunger.
I've read this, I've observed this as, that the Garib person of India, right?
And
even if he would be staying in a hutment, and he will still put a divider of a chadar, and there will be a drawing room where he will ask you to come in.
Yeah.
Right? And he will give you that glass of water, and he'll offer you, or she will offer you chai.
Their food. Yeah. And they would not. So our hospitality is far beyond institution.
Correct.
4 walls of large hotels, marble flooring. It is ingrained in our genetics.
So right.
And that, I feel, is the reason why global chains have so many Indians at the helm of it.
Yeah.
Whether it's Raj Menon, President Asia Pacific, or you look around the world, you will find so many Indian, because they come from the place. How they know the cappuccino from childhood, they don't need to be taught.
And the microcosm of this society, I don't think so. There is no India anywhere else in the world.
No, it's not possible.
Because at every 100 million, it's a new country.
Correct.
At every 100 million, you layer it.
But we are connected with the same sentiment.
Yes.
Same emotion.
Absolutely.
In a different language, but the underlying current genetics is so beautifully stitched together. Yeah. That's what makes our country so unique.
And that's what you also observed, let's say, as you said, you started here in India, go to England, go to Australia, come back to India. It is like more of a homecoming, but the fact that you've had that global exposure, good, you bought the better practices which were prevailing out there, combine it with the Indian ethos which already existed, and then created new products. Now, if I have to just reflect back when the transition happened to SAMHI after that, right?
Yeah.
To the younger audience, you must expand what SAMHI means and what is SAMHI. But more importantly, after an operator's role, you became an asset manager, right? Even for the younger audience, right? What is that distinction?
Okay. No, very interesting. Look, in a simple layman terms, as an operator, you own a P&L. As an owner, you own a balance sheet. I ran 4 hotels before going to SAMHI. And I knew how to run a hotel, but I didn't know the profits I'm making, the 40%, 50% GOPs. Are they enough to build such hotels? Are they enough to pay?
The return on capital, basically.
Return on capital. Are they creating value? Or is 50 a good or 40 a good? That none of the hotel companies even today teaches our general managers. And SAMHI was an ownership platform. where you were building hotels, strategizing, acquiring, converting, branding, and then making sure they're operated in a fine. And I was oblivious to this, and I was blessed to be given this opportunity.
And this was in 2013, 14?
12 end.
But India at that time was so different.
Yes.
SAMHI as a concept and a platform
Yes.
was way ahead of its time.
Yes.
Private equity, VC, these terminologies didn't exist. Maybe few here and there.
Very few.
Very few, but it just didn't exist.
Correct.
Obviously, Ashish was there, Manav was there at that point in time. But I'm really interested because they would have gotten everyone together, right? In a completely new concept of a development platform. Yeah. Right? I'm more interested about that now.
Well, look, Ashish and I were... So Ashish knew me because he was head of development for Accor when I came back to India, and I was at Grand Mercure, Bangalore, Kormangla, and he would frequently come with various development deals and opportunities. So he'll come and frequent, and Accor had only a couple of hotels in the country at that time. So I would meet him, and then when I opened DoubleTree by Hilton, he came by one day and we were sitting and chatting. And in that conversation, I was telling him like how running a hotel is, very different in India. It's like running a small town. You're producing your own energy, you're treating the sewage, you're sometimes drawing the water also. And it's a self-sustained small township. And we had a conversation and he left, and I thought to myself, I should get a call from him. And I want to do what he's doing.
Development.
No, he was not developing. He had started SAMHI.
He had started SAMHI at that time.
And I want to be part of that journey. And I said, Ashish definitely knows to buy the hotels, and I definitely know how to run them. And maybe there's something. And in my heart, I felt that I hope I have left a good impression on him for him to call. And when it's uncanny. When you want something, phone rang.
Happens. Yeah.
And
you just put the energy out there.
Yeah. And he called. And I said, I know why you are calling. And he says, how do you know? And we met, and I went in. And to date, Ashish tells, before I could even make him an offer, he had resigned. And I remember that was a year when there was a quake in Japan, and Martin Rink was a area president for Hilton. And he called me from Japan. This was somewhere around August, September of 2012. I said, Vinay, I heard you're putting down the paper. And I said, yes, I've been GM long enough, and I want to do something different. I want to learn because my knowledge is saturated. And
it's more on a repetition mode, I would say.
And I said, I want to go into the ecosystem. And I couldn't have made a better decision. So I got in, and then I would bother Ashish with lots of questions. How do you acquire? What is ROCE? What is ROI? What is IRR? What are you guys talking about? I only knew ARR and occupancy. And he will patiently explain to me. And then journey started, and people started to think I'm the hotel owner. When I'll walk into Sheraton, Hyderabad, or Fairfield by Marriott, I was lucky enough to introduce many international brands to India in various capacities. So whether it was a Mercure and Grand Mercure or DoubleTree by Hilton, as a GM, introducing those brands to India.
In your mind, and you as a person, from an operator, the P&L mindset to, let's say, an ownership mindset, which is balance sheet, right? Now it's like it's your money, and either you're multiplying it or you're depreciating your own money and your own asset, right? How did it change you as a person at that point in time?
I had that inclination. I tell you, when I opened DoubleTree by Hilton, one day, I think then 24, 25-year-old son of Mr. Bedi, Karan Bedi, came into the lobby. And I take my work very passionately. I own it. Every bit of my hotels, wherever I've worked. He walks into lobby, he points out one of the lights which wasn't working right, and a music. And I said, here I am than 20 years experience, general manager, this was my 4th hotel. I missed the beat and this guy saw it. How can this 25-year-old? And later I understood. It's the third eye of the owner, which is far, it cannot be taught academically. You have to feel it. When it's your own, you see it more than anybody else can ever see it. In SAMHI, I could get to do that. I started feeling everything is my own. And that transition is not, it's not prescribed, it just happens.
Now tell me something. Let me see how delicately I can put this.
Put it harshly.
Does academics ever teach you something like this? Bachelor's, master's, MBA, and that life journey that you went through until SAMHI, and what you learned in SAMHI.
It only accelerates exposure if you are willing to take it to next level. So it's like academics tell you how to use a Word document on a laptop.
But what do you need to put in that document?
What
and apply
you
it?
write is a life, and you spend lifetime rewriting the same letter to get it to something meaningful. So without academics, you won't have a tool to apply. So it is needed in my mind, but that is the end of it. Don't take it too seriously beyond that. But you need it.
It's like a platform it has kind of given you. More importantly, it's your mind, which is that platform. It has been built. It needs to be exercised through input and output.
Absolutely.
Right? And then you have a sufficient mass. Now you need to go and expend that mass at various levels.
Absolutely.
Just imagine if this mass is not there, what do you do on the other side when you're expending it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And today, you know, and in those days of India, when I was growing up, academics was very prescriptive and teaching oriented. When I went to England, I all of a sudden got into the ecosystem where academic hours were only 15 to 20 hours.
Then it's about reflection,
research, and
group work.
Correct. And what I realized, the difference between Indian academics of those days versus international was we were focused on teaching, they were focused on learning. And sounds very similar, but they're miles apart.
So it's a very interesting thing. I say we learn to memorize here. We need to learn to apply.
Absolutely.
And today, unfortunately, right, till a certain higher education, 12th standard level, unfortunately,
we still focus.
I think we are just learning to memorize, not learning to apply. But I think this is also changing.
It's changing.
Just a matter of time.
Our kids are So we were earlier chatting. When we were growing up, the source of knowledge was only top down.
Correct.
Whether books written by people above you or
their own life experiences, they're just
passing it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
But today, it's all around. The knowledge is coming bottom up, all around. Kids are so much more informed. So their natural acceptance and inculcation of the knowledge is very, very different.
Yeah. You know, you're raising teenage boys. I'm raising...
boy and a girl.
So I'm raising, sorry, boy and a girl, and I'm raising 2 daughters. One is 15, who thinks she's 25, and one is 12, who thinks she's 35.
And their growth is happening accelerated.
Yeah, for sure.
And it could be their mental age of 12 is ahead of 15 sometimes.
When, let's say, even at the institution level, and I'm thinking of doing something, and I go to them and I ask them, I say, how would you process this, what I'm saying, and give me the way it is?
Yes.
And 8 out of 10 times I change my mind. The what they give back to me, that angle, perhaps I may not have thought about, but even if I would have thought, I'm still thinking like a 50-year-old.
Yes.
I can apply a 50-year-old thought to, let's say, a 20-year-old here. they are expecting something very different in terms of even that conversation
Yeah,
in that facilitation of learning.
correct.
So there's so much of, I would say, a wider perspective this generation gives you, right?
100%.
Do you face the same?
They are my soundboards.
There you go. Same here.
So many times they critique, and they are so confident in critiquing you. They're not hesitant at all, and you're getting a transparent information from them.
Tell me something. You moved around, Vinay, in this case, in a hotel companies, right? Hospitality companies. You had done hotel hospitality from a bachelor's perspective. You did hotel hospitality even your master's perspective. And when you looked at people around generally, did you feel that you had the edge because of hospitality, both at the bachelor's and the master's level as well? Vis-a-vis, let's say if you had to do general bachelor's of commerce and followed by just a very generic MBA. Did you have that edge? Because at the end of the day, hospitality, I like to believe it is liberal, right? It fosters that creative thinking.
Yeah.
Right? It allows looking at a customer very differently, because no matter what, it applies those design principles to customers.
Yeah.
Right? And with a wider knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? So did you feel that was the advantage?
Of course, any academics would work to your advantage. Not that anybody ever asked when offering me a role or employment what was my academic background, but it definitely set me for it. I think the biggest foundation was ability to ask questions, relevant questions, inquisitiveness that academic systems inculcated in me. I think that allowed me to ask more. But if I truly look back, I think it was experiences of working with so many different. So when I was in Dubai, we had almost about 18 to 20 nationalities working in that hotel. It was a 100-room hotel with 9 food and beverage outlets. Well, total topsy-turvy in every sense of the word. And because at the time in Dubai also liquor was only permitted in the hotel. So this hotel had 100 rooms and 9 F&B outlets. And I was in F&B, but it allowed that much of experiences to come together from all directions to contribute. So that gave me a great edge, ability to think differently.
You know what we are kind of espousing, and at least what I am espousing, that if your end objective is customer centricity, whether at business level or perhaps at a consulting level or perhaps your foundation education in liberal hospitality and business education is far more relevant than perhaps if you choose any other alternate route.
Correct.
The unfortunate part is we are victims of our perception that it is hotel management. And that iteration, at least I'm espousing with each conversation, either with you, at various seminars, conversations, that, you know what, if you truly want to be a good leader, right, and you have not made up your mind, look beyond traditional. This education of liberal hospitality and management is far more relevant to you in the development of you as a person. Right?
100%.
Because it's the only way where the character is built along with the mindset. Which is required for you to grow, whether as an entrepreneur or as a person or in any field that you can do. Do you believe that as well?
I 100% believe. And we are a summation of the character, the personality, the thought process. And today the hospitality is also getting far more deeper. There are data science come into hospitality. There are marketing nuances come into Today our revenue management is nothing short of the best in class
Yeah.
data science.
And the tech.
The tech
I think
is
it's, as you
everywhere.
rightly said, it's an industry,
Correct.
right? It's as good as a pharma industry is this
Correct.
hospitality industry.
Correct. And the word right industry is the true justification
Yeah.
to it. Because you do need, and sales and marketing is second to none.
Yeah.
We just have to put right things.
Yeah.
All of these brands have become global.
Yeah.
So yes,
And
absolutely.
also even to the audience, like I'm perhaps reiterating this. You could be earning in pharma, you could be earning as a scientist, you could be earning as a doctor, you could be earning as an engineer or as an entrepreneur, but you all spend in hospitality.
Yes, it's a great place.
You all spend in hospitality.
Yeah.
Right?
And as the time evolves and more robotics and more AI and more, so humans become redundant, we would be, and in doing those, and I hope the ecosystem allows privileges to humans beyond what they have today by freeing up their time, because machines can do. What joys would one want?
Yeah.
Art, music, good food,
Oh, absolutely.
good travel,
Yeah.
good sightseeing. I think there is a reason it's called human life is one of the most blessed life.
Absolutely.
Because you have an ability to do so much more and express so much more.
So right. And we'll talk about India as well. But before we talk about India, what on earth in your mind did you decide that let me give this all up and let me become an entrepreneur? ये कैसे हुआ और क्यों हुआ?
Oh, very, very good.
और मुझे रेस्टोरेंटर बनना है.
Restaurant is because that's a space I know, technical. That's a technical part of the dream. There's a software and a deeper part of the dream. I always wanted to create something which I can call. It's more about, I wanted to create an create a corporate structure which I believe in. And I don't know. And it's easy to verbalize. I don't know how will I execute it. And I always looked at a little bit of mythological interpretation on management styles. And two books that influenced me a lot is Gita and Ramayana. And two styles are very distinct. And Gita has Arjun, which is nothing but Ivy League. Best archer, best qualified, most privileged education. Second has Hanuman, Ram. Now, Hanuman doesn't know his potential. And we'll keep it from the management perspective, not only mythological perspective. There is a reason Hanuman was chosen by gods to be representing the way he represents. But he could do unbelievable things. Jump across the ocean, get to Lanka, and single-handedly the most formidable fortress could be penetrated so easily. Telling the innate potential of each individual. And I'm Hanuman Bhakt, so I follow him. Whereas Arjun, he was super talented and super blessed to be in proximity of God, Krishna. But he will always resort to Krishna for any action. And two ecosystems define the way the management system. Today we are all chasing Harvard League, Ivy League, grads. But I think truth lies somewhere in between. And it's harder to be Ram than Arjun. Krishna or Arjun. Because Ram had to sit back and allow things to happen and give the freedom for the teams to execute. And there's no right and wrong. So I wanted to create an organization that somewhere blends in the two management styles.
So it happened, the restaurant is just a platform or a means to that corporate structure.
To that corporate structure. And on the second side, I was always enamored by Infosys. The kind of company they created, and I have a huge respect.
Of the people, by the people.
Of the people, by the people. Kind of values they created for everybody participating. They created more millionaires than any of the other Indian industrialists have done. And this is one of the leading example where all the founders have 1.5% of the equity and rest all being distributed in their journey of 20-30 years, and creating an amazing, valuable company which represent India, modern India. So bringing in these thoughts to fruition, I've taken a very small step and very fragile state still. But that's the dream. And the tools I'm using are the ones that are known to me. Food and beverage, customer, hospitality, to create that ecosystem which could flourish, create wealth and value, be admired by everyone. And a lot of time we keep saying consumer fast. I also want to create a way consumer employee interchange kind of.
Tell me again, from an operator, P&L, to looking at balance sheet, right? As an asset manager, now you are the balance sheet yourself.
Yeah,
your
assets, small one though.
Your asset has to equal to your liability.
Yes.
I truly believe, I genuinely believe that, and there's no one like an entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
On the other side, assume you're not an entrepreneur. There are terms being used, executive entrepreneur. नहीं, आप नहीं हो.
नहीं.
आप executive हो.
Yes.
आप ownership लेते हो.
Yes.
है ना?
Yes.
But आप entrepreneur नहीं हो.
आप 4 बजे नहीं उठते सो के.
आपको रात को नींद नहीं आएगी क्योंकि एम्प्लॉय की सैलरी देनी है.
Yes.
है ना? जब सब लोग सोएंगे, I think दर्द तभी होता है आपको.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm more curious to know when this transition happened, right? You changed your global exposure, and then you changed from what you did at SAMHI, right? And entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is like a completely different ball game, right? It's the hardest ball you can ever play in any capacity.
Yes.
Whether you're playing here or whether you're playing here, right?
Yes.
Has it changed you the third time over?
Yes, absolutely. And I hope for better. It's very humbling. And when you grow up, so, my early career was what it was that time. But pretty early on in my life, by 32, I was general manager in Australia. Even in England, I rose up the ranks fairly quickly. I was almost acting GM in my master's time. You get so many privileges. And so many times you hear yes and great and beautiful ideas. You only know the truth when you are on entrepreneur. And when you really see the things from your own perspective.
So the definition of Roka changes?
Absolutely.
Totally, right?
Everything.
Everything changes when you're an entrepreneur.
Everything changes. And I think it makes one, as long as you're able to enjoy it, I'll encourage everybody to. I'm privileged. I'm blessed. I've been blessed all my life to be able to take this step. My family supported me. It was a major step.
Yeah, I can only imagine the boy and the girl coming in from Australia, traveling with you all over, but without the support, mental support of your wife, and going through your own up and down, and here she's raising the children by herself.
Yeah.
and seeing the journeys being disrupted, right, in a good way,
Yeah, in a good way.
and
Always.
and handling that, right? I've always believed this, and I genuinely believe this. When they say what is the definition of men, bas do word from women,
Absolutely.
or
Absolutely.
kuch nahi hai iska
Kuch nahi.
definition, right?
Yep.
We are what we are, or they are what they are, right?
Yeah.
Ye to they are because they are.
That's why we are.
That's why we are,
Yeah.
right? But we are from them, right?
Yes.
And none of this would have been possible, right?
So, Anu was a stay-at-home mom for 18 years.
Put her career on I would
Back
say
burner, because we had 2 kids,
Yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying.
she decided
that
she's
kind
going to
of
look after
sacrifice is
them.
amazing.
And when I started this and that peak of COVID, she was out with me every day during Delta. We served so many meals because my team was working and I couldn't have been at home. To Zomato delivery boys and Swiggy delivery boys, because the mall had no patrons. Our food was only going out and Zomato guys couldn't come in. So the team will cook and will go down and hand over the parcels. Even today, she's standing at the restaurant, attending to guests, taking orders. It's unbelievable resilience she has shown.
To our non-Delhi NCR friends, because your brand is very synonymous here, give a sense of what is MyTeaChapel and where did the name originate?
So, name was just something we were brainstorming. I always wanted to do something in a beverage space. And my dad was a tea lover. I enjoyed teas.
The why chapel? Does it have that connotation? Chapel?
Yes. And because we loved it so passionately, chapel is a small place of worship.
Correct.
And we said, what we want to create, anchored around tea. Bubble teas came later on in the ecosystem, and it's a multi-generational product, but anchored around teas. And I said, where you have that peace that you draw in a small place of worship, where you're emotionally satisfied and calm. And the name resonated with that.
Is it also your abode for in servitude of your guests?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Come here, leave your worries behind. All you need to do is just be there in the moment, and we are here.
100%.
Right?
And that's the place we are trying to create and replicate. So there is always a quick service restaurants, and there was a specialty restaurant. We wanted to give a gourmet food in a quick environment, but also a place where people can sit and relax at the same time.
And just experience. Just be in the moment, right?
Be in the moment.
And that's what I've kind of observed with the MTC, that I have been there a couple of times. But let me also tell you what I've observed. Because you and Anu are all heart, every member of your team is all heart.
Yes.
They're just all heart.
And that's, if you remember, the philosophy of organization is much beyond best pizza, best bubble tea, and best waffle. It's that. And I'm doing a smaller version of 1 minute captures of what MyTeaChapel means for each of us. So I have said my piece. Every week we're gonna keep doing this at our Insta handle at MyTeaChapel. And we'll get our patrons to speak, because MyTeaChapel is an entity in itself, and it has a different interpretation. But that common thread so we will have episode where the guest will talk their version of MyTeaChapel. My team is talking what it means, how it is their second family, what it means for me. It may mean different to Anu than what it means to me. And that is what we are trying to put together.
I as I said, and that's how story needs to be told as well. But in a sense, when you look at MyTeaChapel today, right, and when you're looking at the F&B environment here in India, um, give us a sense from your perspective, your experience today on either side of the table, right?
Yeah.
Um, where do you think F&B, if I have to ask you to project it 5 years, 7 years, 10 years down the line, where will it be?
You look, if we go in a commercial side of it, it's an immense growth. Indians have just started to experience the food and beverage the way it is West has been consuming for last. Our disposable incomes are growing rapidly. Our GDP is growing. Our time available to cook and experience is shrinking. Our access to internet and a home option of food delivery is increasing. So the consumption patterns are going to change exponentially.
And do you see that happening right now?
Absolutely. Look, if I were to ask you, imagine the food is not delivered to your home. Was the case only 7-8 years ago before Zomato and Swiggy started delivering. You wouldn't fathom. You think it is now given, I want to eat paratha at 8 o'clock at night. You get paratha.
I think at least in urban India, this social behavior has changed forever.
Forever.
Yeah, it's not going to come back
and
ever.
It will only further accelerate. Now, with internet, genie's out of the bottle. This is only going to expand. The only thing we have to be mindful of, to be a responsible operator, maintain quality, stay honest and committed to the purpose.
So right. And you also hear these arguments, in India, 10 are opening, 9 are shutting down. I said 9 are shutting down because there was never any soul in it.
Yeah, they didn't plan it right. So that happens in everything, whether you look at tech, whether you look at retail, whether you look at fashion. Because if you come into the play with no serious thought consideration,
absolutely,
and no real commitment to the cause, then of course, and financial difficulties can get to anyone. I'm not saying, we are immune to it, but you've got to remain honest and true to it. And today, organized F&B is going to grow.
Urban India, right? Tier 2 cities India, the exposure is far more. What they're consuming, and by virtue, they're traveling.
Yes.
Are Indians, are we experimenting more with cuisines and food?
100%. It's all about awareness, right? Who would have thought our kids will listen to Korean music, eat Korean food?
True.
So we thought we were aware and world-wise eating Italian and continental food. Today our kids are talking K-pop, eating Korean, Japanese, Asian cuisines, Vietnamese. So the world's shrinking in some ways. Our expectations are increasing in many ways. And there will be opportunity for all to cater to this.
But being an entrepreneur also comes with its own, I would say, heartaches, right? A lot of mind space. There's no weekend anymore.
No.
365 days.
Yes.
And that's a good high also.
Yes.
So it's not a bad high, it's a good high, right?
Yes.
To those, I would say, budding younger generation who are looking to be entrepreneurs, right? When I say entrepreneur, it's a mindset as well.
Yes.
Whether they want to raise their own money, whether they want somebody is investing money in them, and they have a notion of what entrepreneurship is all about. What would you like to tell them?
It's a long journey. All successes, all overnight successes are built in decades.
So right.
So don't be in a hurry. Do your homework right. Be patient. Lots of hard work, but reward will be immense. As long as you don't get married to the outcome of only monetary. If you take it, it will have the greatest of the experiences beyond imagination.
So ironic you're saying this. I read this somewhere, and I hope I can recount it. What I read. What you have done right now, and so many like you are kind of doing it, is your children's struggle will not be where we started our struggles.
Yes.
You have given them a platform, and it's from here it'll grow.
Yes.
It doesn't have to come here.
Correct.
I think there's no better gift to give our children than that. I also believe India requires millions of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Small, medium, large. If we have to be at that 10,000 per capita income,
Yes.
we need to create at all levels entrepreneurs. We need to celebrate failure.
Yes.
This country should wake up every day and pat its back. Okay, we failed at something,
Yes.
because in that innovation happens,
Correct.
in that resilience happens, in that something new starts.
Absolutely.
Right? And that fear of failure should be like out of the system and say,
Let's
love
try,
it.
yeah. Why we have not been able to do in historically India used to be land of innovation. In Middle Ages we lost that because we became servant or slave to Britishers or the rulers,
or that mindset.
Or that mindset.
Yeah.
Today we have liberated ourselves once again, emotionally, mentally.
So right.
This is the true meaning of liberation is that to be able to do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
And we are blessed to be in the times where we are able to do that. And of course, when you try and do something new, you're going to fail 9 out of 10 times. But think of that one time when you'll succeed.
Yeah.
You'll create a difference for the world in a community.
But that's how entrepreneurship is.
Yes.
If you want to be in business, or for that matter, even if we want to rise up any ladder, you will fail.
Yes.
Celebrate it.
Yes.
I do that in my house, just to let you know, with both my children. Right? If for whatever reason they participated in something and they got a consolation, or maybe they didn't even feature, and I said, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Only 1% people participate.
Correct. You were in them.
You were in that 1%. So your competition is not 99. Your competition is that 1%.
Super.
Just keep walking.
Super.
Don't give up. Because even in that 1%, 90% people will give up.
Correct. You don't have to win.
Then you're in the top
You have
decimal.
to just stay present.
That's it. You at any given point in time. That's it. Just keep on moving. So what next? What next? Where does MyTeaChapel go from here?
Dreams are big. Steps are small. So I've got some small friends and family round, self-funded, bootstrapped so far. We'll open one food court. DLF's been very kind to us, giving us opportunity. We opened in Cyber Hub, small kiosk. Soon we'll open one in Promenade in food court right next to McDonald's. So I'll be very pleased with that. And another opportunity is coming for our assessment in Mall of India. We're opening 2 small clouds.
So nice.
And this is for self-funded small steps. And then I'm seeking capital for the business growth. I hope I can convince somebody with the right capital to come participate in my journey. In creating what I'm wanting to create, a global brand, a global journey. I can promise them that no stone will be left unturned. The capital will be treated with utmost respect.
The capital needs to be treated like debt.
Yes.
That's the only way.
Yes.
If equity is treated like debt,
then you would create value forever.
Then you will create value forever. May I give you some advice on this?
Yes, please.
Find only that person who believes in the chapel journey.
Yes.
And not a private equity or an investor.
Yes.
Not that color of green is different to any other color of green. It's just that they will destroy that value or that sanctity that you have kind of created. They will completely
I hope
ruin
yes.
it for you. I'm sorry I'm saying it, but
Yes, no.
but,
And I'm very mindful of that.
yeah.
But I hope.
And you will be at some stage
Yes.
lured. Right?
Yes.
A lot of people give advices.
Yes.
Right? Do not.
Yes.
It's better to be at 4.
Yes.
Right? And only once you get the right
Yes.
person with the right color of the color back,
Yes.
with the right intent,
Yeah.
is when you become 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so that's the journey, and of course we want to create a global brand. I feel, why can't India create
Absolutely
a global brand?
Made in India for the world.
For the
Love
world.
it.
So this time, when I see Tata bringing Starbucks to India or Reliance bringing Pret to India, I hope one day Amazon takes MyTeaChapel to US.
Super.
Or one of
You've been to the Wagah border?
Yes, I have cherished every
that?
moment of that.
But tell me something. When you're out there, that feeling of being that Indianness, that dopamine levels, right? The pride is right there.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes.
I feel that every single day today here in India.
Yes.
It just gives me that confidence
that we are going to do something so amazing.
Absolutely. The next 15, 20 years.
Yes.
Right? It's no longer hyper-localized to Wagah border.
Correct.
It is in our gully. It is in our home. It is in our thoughts today.
Correct.
And that collective energy of people
has to come together.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's coming together.
It's coming together.
Yeah.
It has transformed in last 10 years, and I think now there's no stopping.
Vinay, again, a lot of younger generations are looking at you, toying with the idea about hospitality education, about this sector. What would you like to tell them?
It's a fun industry, guys. You got to join it. It's so fulfilling and rewarding industry, and it's so global that all your aspirations can be met. And I would encourage people to come and participate. Gone are those days when there were very little reward in this industry. Today, our rewards are very meaningful.
As good as any other sector.
Any other sector, in many ways better than other sectors.
So right.
Your working environment, working ecosystem is so much superior, and your opportunities are so much global in nature.
So right.
So I think we need to make more people aware of it.
Yeah.
And bring them into the fold. And service, I truly believe everything else machines will do in next 10 years. The only thing that machine won't be able to do is create experiences,
absolutely.
Create memories, give warmth of this sitting together in conversations, serve beautiful handmade food, or take you places with the warmth of humans around.
I love it.
And I think art, culture, and food and hospitality will rule the roost in the next 10 years.
Absolutely.
And robots will do the rest.
I think robots will do the rest. You're so right. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Vinay, seriously. I started off by saying you're all heart. I can tell you this conversation was all heart. There is something about you. No, seriously. And I can only pray to Vaheguru that he gives you and your family his choicest blessings always. You are creating employment, you're creating a brand here in India. From an ISH perspective, if we could be of any assistance to you in any manner, it would be our privilege.
I'll reach out, and I've been blessed to get a lot of support already, Kunal, from your institution. Children have come and worked with us and exchanged ideas, and I'll keep reaching the brain trust of ISH.
Absolutely.
Because I'm old and dated, but your brain trust is getting reinvigorated, regenerated every day.
Yeah.
So we're going to depend on you.
So Here's to us, here's to India, here's to the next generation, here's to hospitality, here's to F&B, here's to, I think just India has a good time always.
Thank you, Kunal.